For those of you who didn't know, I did a 100 hours of mid lane challenge, and in that time learned 6 mid laners, each focusing on a different skill. So I decided to learn one of the most annoying mid laners in the game to see if they were actually good. Enter Fizz, one of the most classic assassin champions who feels like he has an overpowered kit when you're playing against him, but is honestly pretty hard to play. So for the next 10 hours, I'm going to try to learn Fizz in 3 steps. First, normal games, second, do some research, and third, play some ranked games. I'm doing this because I'm trying to learn every champion, so one day, I can make the greatest Viego video ever. So what runes and builds should you go on Fizz? Well, the most common rune is Electrocute, because the burst works really well with your normal trades in lane, which I'll get into later. For your build, you pretty much always rush Lichbane. It works with your Q, your W, and your just generally short cooldowns. After that, you want to get Zhonya's Hourglass, so you can E, press Zhonya's, and then E again, basically being unkillable for like 5 seconds in a 10-second fight. And finally, you want Death Cap for damage, Void Staff for Magic Pen, and a flexible final item like Shadow Flame. Oh yeah, you should also buy Dark Seal on your first or second back if you have the gold, and upgrade it to Mage Eyes if you're ahead in the mid game. This will replace your flexible late game item like Shadow Flame. Anyway, onto some normal games. Jumping into my first game, I had a surprisingly good start, forgetting to record my first kill, but getting another kill in the jungle to make up for it. However, I clearly did not know Fizz's damage or combos yet. Like here, I should have probably used my Q first and E last to dodge some damage and the tower shot. Oh my god. I'm pissed. I also learned that Fizz has a hard time killing somebody from 100% HP. I mean, we can all remember those times when a fed Fizz did it, but if you only have like 2 kills, you should probably get them down to 70% HP first. And I was a little surprised at how slow my ult animation was. Like, this ult wasn't even close to hitting Lux, and I really don't think I missed it that badly. I'm awful, but it's okay. I've got her. But even though I still had a lot to learn, my initial thoughts about this champion can probably be summed up with this clip. God, this champion's disgusting, by the way. I'm actually out of there. The only problem was I still wasn't totally sure how to, play Fizz yet. Like, completely messing up the flashy combo here. So, Fizz definitely felt pretty fun with his damage and mobility, but I'm actually kind of glad I had a ton of issues this game because it gave me things that I wanted to work on. And in a weird way, I was kind of glad to lose my first game. So with my excitement to learn Fizz at an all-time high, I jumped into my next game and again got off to a great start. But as the game went on, I just once again began to struggle. Like, when should I use my ult against a champion with a ton of mobility? I tried using it at random times to throw them off, but that clearly wasn't working. Or how much damage can I actually do? Like here, I really thought I would kill the half HP Zed, and I think I comboed pretty well. I just didn't know my damage yet. And last but not least, how should I order my abilities? Like, my E has more burst, so I want to use it early, but it's also my survivability tool, so I need it later or else I'll just die. But all of these are important questions for assassins as a whole, because my whole point is to do damage. If I'm messing up combos or don't know how much damage I'm gonna do, we're gonna have a problem. Don't get me wrong, I was actually having a lot of fun playing Fizz, I just, wasn't good at him yet. And this is why I play normals, so I can limit test and answer the important questions like, can I beat her if I land my ult? He's dead to ignite, and then I heal, but I'm still dead to ignite too. But constantly limit testing and taking these fights can definitely be a little stressful sometimes. I definitely have to find ways to get kills in other lanes too. And I don't know, something about surprise ganking an enemy and getting a free kill always boosts my spirits, especially after doing something dumb in lane. Like here, again using my E before my Q, which lost me damage and also made it impossible for me to dodge Akali's damage. Or somehow still not knowing how my ult works. And of course, messing up the E flash combo again, which I will explain during the tips section, don't worry. Dude, I can't do the fucking combo thing. But hey, it wasn't all bad. I was definitely getting better at Fizz's kit in general. Like, after getting this kill, I positioned myself behind Belvath, so I would Q to safety under my tower. Way better than just running away. And then turning around a few seconds later, actually killing her even though she flashed and dodged my E. All I needed was a little more confidence. Like here, using my Q to hide my ult animation to make it easier to hit Vel'Koz because he wouldn't have time to react. So yeah, I was definitely making progress, I just wasn't quite where I wanted to be in order to start ranked. Not yet, at least. I mean, look at me kill this way again, and I was getting better at landing my ults. I just couldn't quite figure out how to, win with Fizz yet. So for my next game, I decided to try one of my viewer suggestions. Jungle Fizz, because, you know, it was a thing in like season 8, I think. The plan was pretty simple. If Fizz was good at roaming, he'd probably just be good at normally ganking, right? All right, not bad. Could be a lot worse, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, the role didn't really matter. I was just trying to practice Fizz mechanics. Like, watch me not start my combo with my E this time, just in case Asol flashed away. Huge improvement from before. And again in this fight, using my Q first instead of my E, which was a mistake I was making a lot at the beginning of the challenge. And one final example of using my abilities in the right order, which allowed me to dodge Volibear's E with my E at the end of the fight. It wouldn't have killed me, but this is the general idea of what the combo should look like. Only problem this game was Tank Jungle Fizz might not be very good. I mean, it took me like 4 minutes to do my first clear. Anyway, I really wanted to win at least one normal game before I went into ranked, and to my surprise, I actually had a really good game. I had some good roams with my jungler and managed to win my own lane without any mechanical misplays like before. I even had a few good mechanical outplays, like dodging the Samumu stun and then positioning myself so if he ran away, my Q would send me in the right direction. Overall, the whole game was just a much more solid experience, and I finally felt confident on Fizz, even if I would panic and make a few mechanical misplays still. After these games, I realized Fizz is pretty fun. But before that, really quick, I want to talk about today's sponsor, Flexispot. For the last 5 years, I have used this cheap chair that I got online, and it served me well, but over those 5 years, it has lost all of its cushion, it's been torn up by cats, and it doesn't have a headrest, which I'll get into in a second. Enter the C7Max. This chair can customize pretty much anything. You can customize your armrest height and angle. You can adjust the headrest, making it go up, down, adjusting the angle. You can also move the chair in and out depending on how long your legs are, and it's got great lumbar support. It's also got a footrest to just recline. This is great! Over the years, I've sat in a lot of chairs. The free one you get at college, which is just a wooden chair at a wooden desk. The cheap one I got online, an actual gaming chair with the pillow on the back, and this one is by far the most comfortable. It's just one of those things I'm surprised I didn't get sooner. I feel like my posture's better, my back doesn't hurt as much. It really is a great chair. And if you can't quite afford this one, they also have a budget option called the C5, which is way cheaper, but has a little bit less customization. So thank you Flexispot for sponsoring this video. It's really the best chair I've ever sat in, and if you want to get your chair today, use the link in the description or pinned comment below. So I did some research on YouTube, and here's what I found. 1, your E is weird. So if you want to go over a wall with your second jump, you have to recast your E early to jump faster. Doing it normally just doesn't work. However, if you want to E flash, you can't recast your E, or you'll flash after you land. You have to wait for your E animation to go normally and flash then. I actually went in the practice tool for a while to get the timing right. I can do it super well now, but I did not land a single one during these normal games. 2, your main trade combo is start with E or Q, auto attack reset with your W, and then use your E or Q to disengage. But you don't always have to disengage. If the enemy is low and you think you can kill them, fully commit. Just make sure you have the damage first before you fully commit. You also don't need to use your E or Q to engage. Sometimes the enemy will walk too close for some reason or face check a bush, and you can start with your auto attacks and use your abilities to catch up if they dash away. 3, this tip requires some limit testing, but don't be afraid to tower dive. Worst case scenario, you can just E to jump away and the tower will stop attacking you. But you will probably have a few embarrassing deaths while you try to learn your limits, so do this in normals first. 4, roam. This is a tip I focused on a lot while learning mid in general, but especially on assassins. Fizz has great mobility for ganks and really good damage if you land your ult. And 5, Fizz is not that great in a team fight, but he excels at picking people off 1v1 or smaller fights like a 3v3. The issue is, if Fizz gets locked down in a big team fight, he dies immediately, so there are 2 main ways you want to take team fights. You can bait the enemy into engaging on you and then use your E, Zhonya's, or other mobility to just outplay them. This playstyle is very rewarding, but is very risky. Or you can just play patient and wait for a chance to dive the back line. Basically sit in a bush, use red trinket, and wait for someone to mess up. It's less risky, but also less rewarding. Anyway, on to some ranked games. And immediately going into ranked, I learned a new special move, the E-Flash combo. You can tell that all that practice in the training tool made this E-Flash combo so much easier for me. And because I was trying a more roam-focused playstyle, I tried Dark Harvest for scaling, and it honestly felt pretty good. And just watching these games back, it's wild how much better I was, landing my ult, knowing how to Q in order to quickly escape after a kill. And here I did another E-Flash combo. Look, I know I missed it, but at least I did it correctly, and I used my mobility to escape this fight with a sliver of HP, then, using my ult mobility, went back in to punish the enemy when they overextended. I was on top of the world until my Kaisa started to run it down. I didn't think that she'd actually just start running it down. I thought that she was just like bad, but no, she's legitimately trolling. But you know what? My confidence was so strong right now, not even that rage quitter was going to bring me down. Sure, I may still make some bad mechanical plays like missing my ult here, but you know what? The Syndra ended up walking into it, so now I can say it was all part of my plan. And now that I was comfortable with Fizz's kit, I could focus on actually assassinating people, like hiding behind a wall, throwing my ult, and then full comboing Syndra here. And even though I missed my Q, I pulled off another E-Flash combo, so it's pretty cool. All of a sudden, I didn't have to think about every ability or combo. My muscles kinda knew what to do at this point, and I could focus more on when to use my abilities or how to position in fights to get multiple kills. Unfortunately, there were times when I'd get too excited to use the E-Flash combo, and I would jump into 4 enemies without thinking. Yeah, you can probably guess what happens next. We don't need to see it. Oh, you all wanna watch me die? Fine, have it your way, you sick fuck. Ambitious plays aside though, I was definitely getting a lot better. I mean, I wasn't playing just good, I was playing damn near perfectly with Fizz now. But alas, my team didn't see it that way. But for real though, I genuinely got flamed all game for no reason, and I had a choice. Let the flame get to me or carry the absolute fuck out of this game to shut them all up. I mean, I guess there's technically a third option where I mute them, but where's the fun in that? It's way more fun to get flamed for 23 minutes. Yes, I was actively getting flamed during this fight, and then just shutting up all the toxic players by carrying them. Something inside me just snapped and I was on a rampage all of a sudden. And before long, I was legendary. Unfortunately, like Icarus flying too close to the sun, this win got to my head a little bit. Yeah, despite the strong start to my ranked games, I definitely started to realize a few problems I needed to address. And no, I'm not just talking about missing my ult here, but I was starting to do that thing I do in a lot of videos where once I have a few good games, I start playing like I'm already ahead, which puts me in bad situations. And like, it's fine to play aggressive when you're ahead trying to punish the enemy, but playing like you're ahead when you're not ahead can lead to some super close fights that could have been a throw. And maybe it's just me, but when you play an assassin like Fizz and you fall behind early, you feel so useless. Like, if I don't have the damage to one-shot people, what am I even good for? And the later the game goes, the harder it is to kill people, and the more frustrated I got. Which led to me chasing down some pretty dumb kills. Which leads me to my next issue on Fizz, which is tanky teams, or at least teams with a lot of survivability. It was just so hard to kill Jax, Nasus, or anyone Janna decided to shield their ult for, which completely shut me down as a champion. And I mean, I know I didn't play this fight perfectly, but look at the healing and shielding Jhin got this fight. What am I supposed to do? Looking back though, there are definitely things I could have done, like looking for picks or flanking in fights better. I just got so frustrated by not being able to kill people that I just kept trying to kill people. These games really made me step back and think about what to do when I'm behind or face a comp that's a little bit harder to deal with. So I went back to what I knew worked and decided to focus more on roaming again and also just killing people I knew I could kill early. I focused more on picks and rotating to fights where the enemy was out of position instead of trying to force fights I had no business fighting. And this doesn't mean don't make plays. It means make plays that your champion is good at. Like Fizz is better at picks like this, while Malphite's probably better at jumping into the enemy team. Another thing I got better at is playing around vision so the enemy can't react to my ult. I figured out Fizz's ult is way easier to land from behind a wall or in a bush. Alright, so focusing more on roams and picks and playing to Fizz's strong suit. Got it. But this doesn't mean roam to every fight. If you roam with low HP, if your lane's in a bad position, or you die during the roam, it can really mess up your early game, like this roam when I was half HP. And I think a general rule for roaming is it's so easy that I can miss everything and still get a kill. If the answer is yes, go for it. Also, I missed every one of these abilities as an example, okay? I'm not really that bad. Okay, that example was a little bit extreme, but you get the point. You want to go for a play that is very likely to get you a kill, or when your lane opponent can't punish you, like if they recalled or something. But even though I did do a good job coming back after that bad early roam, Fizz still struggles against tanky teams, and he falls off unless he gets super ahead early game. But man, Fizz is good at roaming, and if you time it well and land all of your abilities, it is such a good way to get yourself and your team ahead, which usually should accelerate the game so you don't fall off. Like my bot lane getting a solo kill at the end of this clip because I got them ahead early. And again, throwing your ult from a bush makes it so much easier to land. I mean, if you remember not too long ago when I missed my ult, a lot. But now I was landing it way more consistently, which was allowing me to get a lot more kills 1v1. And you know what? If you're in a team fight and you can't really play around vision, using your ult to follow up CC from teammates like Amumu and Rakan is still a great way to land your ult and do damage consistently. And sorry, I keep bringing up Fizz's ult. I just missed that ability a lot during this challenge. Anyway, going into the last few games, I decided to try a new off-meta build to counter tanky comps, which, as I've said before, is something Fizz struggles against. The idea was build Leandre's because your W does damage over time, Iceborne Gauntlet and Abyssal Mask for survivability, and Fimbulwinter for tons of shields. I realize now after making this video, Riftmaker would have been way better than Fimbulwinter, but to be honest, the build was working surprisingly well anyway. One of my favorite things to do with champions is once I've learned them, just mess around with their builds a little bit and see if something turns out pretty good. Now, again, I used this build specifically because the enemy team was tanky with Tahm Kench, Volibear, and Mordekaiser, so the build is situational. But hey, if you find yourself against a ton of tanks, this build is actually pretty good. I mean, this fight is sped up for editing reasons, but I survived for so long, do a pretty good amount of damage, and would have gotten away with it too if my flash hadn't been on a 3-second cooldown. Oh, I was so alive! Oh my gosh, if I had a little more MR. You also have a bit more utility with Iceborne Gauntlet's slow and Abyssal Mask's bonus damage, so I actually really like this build and wish I had tried it more. Maybe I'll do an off-meta video later on. Killer ass! Anyway, going into my final game, I was against Fizz's literal hardest matchup, Diana, and I was gonna have to use everything I've learned to win this game. And even though things weren't off to the greatest start, things could have been a lot worse. Jesus, I still die. And after I got rid of my nerves, I started playing a lot better. Ulting her when she jumped on top of me, saving my E to dodge her ult, and most importantly, saving my Q to steal the kill. I used my E to jump over walls like I explained in the tip section a while ago to clean up another kill and snowball even harder. And instead of forcing fights, I found people in the side lane to kill 1v1. Which is exactly what Fizz wants to do. Then I did the exact same thing like a minute later when the enemy Diana tried to get a tower. It wasn't even first tower. Oh yeah, and a quick little bonus tip for the people who made it this far, Fizz is actually great at split pushing. His E is great wave clear, his W works on towers, and his mobility means he can escape if he gets ganked. So if all else fails, you can do a little split pushing. Anyway, my last game on Fizz went about as well as I could have hoped. My laning phase was good, I got a few good roams, and even used Fizz's secret strategy to split push and destroy like 4 towers. Even if I still made a few silly plays now and then. Holy shit, whoa, wait, her spiders still hit me? Oh no! But yeah, Fizz was pretty gosh darn fun. Oh yeah, I stream on Twitch almost every day, so check me out. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, it helps me out a lot.